Hello and welcome to today's tip on how to make sure that your MFL teaching is even more effective. I spoke at the Research Ed conference in Cheshire on Saturday, and I was focusing on memory and what we can do to improve students' ability to retain anything actually. And I was applying some principles from MFL to lots of different subjects. We looked first of all at the problem, which is the forgetting curve, the fact that everybody forgets what they've learned very quickly. So even just after an hour, we forget 56%, we retain 44%. After a week, we only retain about 25% of what we've learned. So it's not because we're bad teachers, it's just the way that the human brain works. I also talked about someone called John Dunlosky, who has done a meta-analysis of lots of different ways that students memorize, studies to look at what is least effective and what's most effective. And he highlighted that practice testing, which is testing yourself on the content, and distributed practice, which is practicing the same content but over a period of time. So distributing that practice perhaps every 2 days or every 4 days are the two where there is the most utility. So it's the most effective to help students to retain information. So we can overcome this forgetting curve, as we can see here, if we keep reviewing and memorizing and testing ourselves on what we've just learned, for example, the vocab in MFL or the grammar, then we overcome that curve. And the more times we do it, the quicker it takes as well. And just final slide from what I showed at the conference, if we test ourselves on content, so not just study all the time. So this was 4 occasions when students studied and they retained about just over 60% compared to using the same amount of time, but 2 of those times were testing themselves rather than just studying the content, and they retained nearly 90% of that content. So we do know that retrieval practice and distributed practice are the most effective ways to help retain language and information, and is particularly useful in learning a foreign language. I'm now going to show you something that can be done with the Sanako Connect software that will really support this, and is also very quick and easy for teachers to create learning activities where students can retain content. So if we go into Connect and click on Import Content, we can pull in an Excel spreadsheet, and I've just got one here in French, which is focusing on some key tenses and time phrases that would support students, particularly who want to be successful in the foundation level at GCSE. So most of the verbs are in the I form. So we pull that in. We just check that the source language here is in English, which is correct. The target language is below. We could swap those if we wanted. We click Next, and then we can choose what to create. We can create all of these or just a selection of these flashcards. Flashcards are particularly good for cueing the memory, for, again, the retrieval practice, testing yourself, question and answer, and also the pronoun. So this allows us to get the pronunciation side of it into the practice, which is quite unique actually. So there's lots of software out there which can test you on things, but to my knowledge, this is the only one where you can also practice pronunciation of the key language. So I need to make sure, if I've chosen the pronouns option, that I choose the language, and then I click Create. And the software is now going to create me some flashcards, some question and answer, and some pronounce activities. And we're going to have a look at these now and see what they will look like for students. So if I go to the preview option now, I chose 27 different phrases, and here the students would have to type in the correct answer, and they can also check, and this was correct, and I move on, and so on. So I can go in and do that. I can also do some pronunciation type activity. Sorry, I can do some translation activities here. So I've got to translate I am, I have, and so on. This is a preview version, so I can't show you it in the student version, but the students are having to type in the answers there this time, and they can't check their answers. So this is the next stage in terms of retrieval practice, and we're still in the testing phase of it. So we're not studying anymore. Studying can be done with the flashcards, but we're now testing ourselves. And then we can go to the pronounce tool, and we can practice pronouncing the language that we've also just been learning. So this is a really nice way, quickly and easily for teachers just to have the vocab on an Excel spreadsheet, and it can quickly create some fantastic activities which are supported by the evidence to help students to learn language, which is one of the hardest things we can do as teachers. And it's also a fantastic homework activity. And again, homework, as I've mentioned before, is a fantastic way to ensure students getting some extra learning time and that they're getting extra access to this language. And many students need to be able to see and come across new language between 6 and 14 times before it sticks. And in this way, even just going through that set of activities, they will come across the same language, the same key phrases 3 times, even if they don't practice it over and over again. I hope you found this useful today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.